Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Career Insights 501. And I'm Dr. Loso. Today, we have a special guest with us, Dee Hoch, and she is the founder of Fire Within Coaching. So she's going to talk to us about coaching and finding your purpose and how she found her purpose and that journey that led up into her starting this amazing business. So, Dee, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is great. I love it. I love what you're doing as well. Just, highlighting careers and stuff because it's kind of hard to to find what you're supposed to do. My name is Dee. I'm from New York. So I moved to Virginia about 19 years ago. So I've been living the Southwest Virginian life with, the mountains and the hiking. So I have 2 children and I also have 2 dogs and a husband. Let's not forget him. I really, am now 42. So I'm really at the point of my now focusing on, I did all the work to get myself right to this point. So now I'm really focusing on empowering other people and helping them reach new heights, because when we put ourselves in boxes, we're really limiting ourselves and our capability and also what we can give to the world.
Mm-hmm. It's actually like that was a lot just in your intro about my thoughts and no, it's great because it just got my mind, like, I think we're on so many of the same wavelengths, right? Because I'll be 40 here in a few months. And I think I'm kind of like at that same spot in my career or like just in life. You put in, I feel like all this time for corporate America, and I think for most people, but at least I'll speak for me, not that satisfactory. To some degree it is, but then for me, it's just like, I'm so much more than what I'm coming in here doing every day. Like, that's a big issue right now with me and my current job, is I feel like a lot of wasted talent. I started a podcast, I started a business, I do all these graphics, I wrote this book, and I feel like, and I told this to my boss, I feel like a secretary. No disrespect to any administrative assistants or anything, but I spent 13 years in college to become a expert in a specific field, I think it's great with what you have going on, and I'd love to hear more about your story. So could you tell us a little bit more about your educational background and how that may or may have not played into getting you to where you are now?
So it absolutely played a role in my case. So I actually I tried college 3 times. So the first time I was right out of high school. I didn't have a lot of direction, didn't have drive, just kind of wanted to do what I wanted to do and be left alone. So I immediately, started working after I dropped out the first time. Then I went back and I dropped out again. But for both of those, I went for humanities. It was always psychology, humanities, sociology, all of that related. So it was always about people. But I also was really lost at that time and didn't really know. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I want. But again, I went right into life, started working, and really started that decline in my own mental health because I was doing what I was supposed to do, right? I was going to work. I was having the family. I was, being a good wife, a mother, and, worker and everything else, but there was always something missing. So I went back to school when I was 30. And I went to associate's degree physically in class, and that was challenging. That was very challenging for me, especially because I feel like my mind kept tripping me up. Like, oh wait, no, you're not 18 years old. Remember, you're like 30. You're 30. Like, this is what you do. Like, you go to school, you come back, and you work, you take care of your kids, and that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for 12 years. I went to school, got my master's degree in executive leadership, and of course my associates and my bachelor's as well. And then I got my coaching. I was still lost though, and I was also burnt out. So
Mm-hmm.
fast forward to August of 2022, right fresh off of the pandemic, the whole world is, screwed up,
Mm-hmm.
in one way or another. Everybody's kind of struggling to find who they are. And like you, I had that moment where I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I just spent 12 years working on a degree that I don't use.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a job that I'm not made for. I am a free spirit, and
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a lot of room for free spirits currently in corporate America.
Right.
Yeah, so that was sort of my struggle. So I said, screw it. I'm going to change it, and I'm going to use everything that I know, because there's a lot of struggle within there as well. I'm going to use my education. I'm going to use, the career journey and everything, and I'm going to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it. I quit my job. I didn't have a plan, which was awful. So I was a little impulsive, I do have to admit, but I felt the weight of just in the pressure of corporate America just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I felt like for the first time in 12 years, I could actually see. I could actually
Mm-hmm.
see myself and how I show up in the world. Coaching had a lot to do with that, because when you go through a coaching program, you're really just self-coaching. You're learning how to self-coach. You're learning how to really interact with people,
Mm-hmm.
which especially after COVID is great, because, we kind of, at least I forgot how to really communicate with people. But then I started my company, and I am dedicated to helping other people maybe shorten the journey a little bit. It was a long journey, and I really did burn myself out, hence Fire Within Coaching, because I
Mm-hmm.
found my fire.
Mm-hmm.
I found my fire within myself by doing the work. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I want other people to do, is I want to help people do that. That was a super long explanation. Sorry.
No, no, that's great. I love the meaning behind the name. I think that's great. Like, yeah, that's a great name for your company, and
Thank you.
that's your mission for what
Mhm.
you want to achieve with your company. Um, I know we're going to get into the business part of what you do in a little bit later on, but I did wanted to ask right now, because you talked about how you were lost during that, I guess, that first part of your educational journey.
Mhm.
Do you think that's something that, well, not do you think, is that something that your company helps people figure out, or helps, I guess, shorten or eliminate that confusion? Is
Yeah.
that something that, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we do. So of course, at the end of the day, we are coaching. That's what we're there for. We don't want to give you the answers, because the answers are already inside you.
Hmm.
So really, we also do mentoring and teaching and stuff like that. But with
Hmm.
coaching, I'm really just asking you questions about what makes you happy, what makes
Hmm.
you joyful, and just looking at it from a different perspective. And when you're ready for that mind shift, and you're ready to look through things with a different lens, it really does. It's life changing, because you're looking at it from, not from your childhood trauma, not from, your, whatever it is that you have in society. You're just looking at it raw. You're looking at yourself, you're looking at your
Hmm.
emotions without anything else. And it's very difficult, but it is 100% worth it. So that's what we
Yeah.
walk people through.
Okay. And something like when you say you just like up and quit corporate America, I think that, some people might say it's crazy, but I think that's like really brave, because a lot of people, I think, get held back from moving into purpose or into something that they want to do or try, or starting their own business just because they have that security of corporate America. And especially if you have a job that's pretty, paying you pretty well, and you have to start from scratch, and with a lot of businesses, how they fail, and get that income and clientele. So I think it's actually pretty brave, to just up and quit and start a business like that, so congrats
Thank
on
you.
that.
It was really needed. And I
Hmm.
would ask your viewers, so if you are in that position, I would say, what's the cost? Yeah, you have a really great job, but what are you not fulfilling in your life? What cost are you playing to stay in a role that you're not necessarily made for?
Hmm.
And for myself, it was my mental health.
Yeah, yeah. I think that that's becoming a thing with me in my current situation, and
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily admit it. So I have this whole
True.
thing in my head where it's just kind of like not admitting to like weaknesses or things like that, but I'm coming more to grips with just accepting things for the way that they are. And
That's wonderful.
yeah, so um,
Yeah.
so could you talk about like I guess your corporate experience, and how that you came to the realization that this wasn't for me? What were you doing before you started your own business? Talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, so I've done a few things. So I worked in healthcare for an amazing, healthcare system here in Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
and the problem is that it wasn't what I was made to do. So, but I thought I was supposed to do it. So I started and I worked really hard, and there was something missing. I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel like other people thought I fit in, and I always felt like the outcast. Regardless of if that was the truth or not, that's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel that I have ever really been psychologically safe in an environment. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not completely because of the environment. It's because of myself and my views as well, because it's the way that you view your situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I did some scheduling, and really fell in love because I was doing community outreach before I would go into at-risk areas, and I would talk about STDs and education and hepatitis C and just HIV, different diseases
Okay.
where I could try to prevent it. So because I had that love, a very amazing doctor, he was like, "Hey, come work with me. Let's make a grant." So we
Mm-hmm.
did. And that fulfilled some of my needs, but again, it still didn't work. I was still
Mm-hmm.
unhappy, but I was also still going to school. So I don't,
Mm-hmm.
my career at this healthcare agency or at this healthcare system was going along the same time as school. So like just think about that for a minute. School, work full
Mm-hmm.
time, two kids. I actually gave birth to my son almost in the exams for
Oh,
my
wow.
associate degree. Yeah, I actually went into labor during my exam. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So and I think that shows strength as well, that you don't let certain things get in your way. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of sort of I've always felt like a force of nature. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I make my presence known, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I definitely, you know, felt like I was not crossing the finish line. Like the finish line was my purpose, and I was still over here, and I stayed here really until August.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I had that security, but I was unhappy. So
Mm-hmm.
is it really security if you're really not happy with yourself or your situation, and you go home and it's like the same thing over and over again, and you're having that same day? That's where I got to. And I really, just started disliking myself.
Mm-hmm.
because of it. So then I decided that I would rather do learning and development because I love to teach. And that's one thing that, I've done throughout is a lot of coaching, mentoring, and teaching. So I started, and 3 days later, we were sent home because of the pandemic. So
wow.
not only was I burnt out, completely 100% burnt out, starting a new career, 100% ready to do it, and then everything shuts down. So that, of course, like everyone else, had something to do with, me trying to find purpose as well. So I think that catches us up. Yeah, so I did that for 2 years. I did that for 2 years, and I really do love it. I love the learning and development side of it, and really taking my coaching aspect and putting it in as well, and asking those tough questions like, what does it cost? Asking those questions, like you said, that you don't want to admit to yourself. Because that's where the good stuff is, right? That's where the gold is, where you don't want to admit it. We all want to say, oh, yes, I would stop if someone was on the side of the road, right? And in trouble, I would stop for them. But would you really? How many times did I say that I would? But honestly, I don't think I think I've only stopped once, but I've also felt other people stop for me when, because I had some car problems with my son and I was stuck on the highway. So I know how that feels to receive it, but I wasn't necessarily giving it out. So it's that mindset, is really admitting where you could do better. And it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. Let me ask you, do you think that there's, I guess in a sense, when it comes to careers, I kind of categorize people into two, but now talking to you, I'm thinking of a third, but passion, purpose, and pay. So do you feel like people kind of like focus their career around one of the three things, or is it that people aren't necessarily given the opportunity by a lot of societal standards or systems to pursue their passion or purpose?
Wow. That is a loaded question, for real. Well, I mean, and it can go a lot of different ways, right?
Yeah.
So I say what I do is passion meets purpose. And when I'm still brand new, so I haven't, of course, made the money that I want to make, but I'm believing in myself. I'm believing in myself to do it. Now, I do notice that I am a white lady, right? So I don't have a lot of other struggles that people would have with regular, DEI. So you're right. Sometimes with societal norms and the way that it is, not everyone is given the same chance, which is what I want to stop. I want to give everyone the same chance. I want to offer it to everybody regardless. So, and then you have the pay. Absolutely. I mean, I was stuck in a career that I didn't want because it paid well. That passion and purpose weren't there. But the problem is people will say, oh, yes, I have the passion, but I don't have the pay, or I have the purpose, but I don't have the pay, or I have the pay, but I don't have the passion or the purpose. And it doesn't need to be one or the other. And I think that talks to societal standards as well, because I had heard you say that you were a millennial as well, right? You're going to be 40. So, I don't know how it was when you were growing up, but when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of choice. Right? Like, I grew up, my parents are Italian immigrants, so I'm first generation, grew up with immigrant parents, and it was different. I always felt different than a lot of the other kids, even though I really wasn't, but I felt different. So that wasn't maybe that was an external barrier, but for me, that was a very real internal barrier as well. But again, you don't have to choose passion or purpose. You just have to make your choice and find the available tools, because someone is out there that's going to help you. And if there isn't someone, then you do it yourself. And that's essentially what I did, where I felt like, nobody wants to, help me grow. Well, because it's not anybody's job to help me grow. It's my own job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I was trying to explain this to somebody late last year, and what's the generation, Gen Z, and I was telling them, I was like, I'm just not really comfortable with getting in front of like my cell phone and making these videos and posting them. I was like, because we actually like just talked to people back then. It wasn't like talking to devices or things, right. And so, but there is just, I was like, I felt like when I was growing up, it was just this: go to college and you'll get a good job. And by the time you finished up college, with the onset of like the internet and social media, the world had changed so much that it was just different for everybody. We were coming into streaming and like just everything. And so like the ability to connect with people from just around the world and go online and search and gain these tools and information is just totally different from, the time that I graduated high school to when I, finished college.
Yeah. And that's so true. And that's, I have a nephew that just actually entered the workforce. So he's that same age. And of course, I'm what did they call it? A geriatric millennial, I believe is the term, which I'll take it. It means I have wisdom. But he's just starting, and I see, he goes out there and he's sort of, he's like, well, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to get a good job. And if somebody doesn't treat me right, I'm going to quit and go to another one. And I think like that was so not okay when I was growing up. Like, why aren't you staying at a job? Because I had a lot of jobs. Like, I had a lot of jobs. And I think that's part of the reason why I really stayed in a job, in a career that wasn't right for me, because again, I thought that's what I was supposed to do, because what my parents taught me was to survive, to get your money, survive, pay for what you pay for. There's no extras. Like, you're just surviving. That's it. And I feel like that is the norm, or was the norm, and now we're shifting. So when you talk about workplace, you talk about that mentality where you're just supposed to do your job, shut up, and be done. And that's not okay for this new generation, and it's not okay for me either, because baby boomers and everyone else, they had to survive, but like, look at how much it affected our generation of millennials, because then we were just expected, we were raised differently, and then we were expected just to go in the workforce. Well, we can't expect Gen Z to do the same thing. We can't expect them to just go into the workforce and be okay with the way that everything was, when they have parents that probably taught them that it's not okay, that you have to stand up for yourself. So that's kind of the viewpoint I have for that.
Let me ask you this. Do you find it with yourself, or maybe with clients, or just people in our age? I feel like millennials are kind of like this transitional generation. It's kind of like we were raised this way, and we ushered in this technology, and we know how to do things like on both sides of the fence, and we can see logic in how the older generation did things, or their viewpoints, and how the younger generation. Like, I feel like I'm stuck in the middle all the time, like towing the line.
And I think that's very accurate. My parents had me late in life. So like, my sisters were, born in the early 70s, late 60s, and I was born in 81. So, I had a lot of their influences as well, but then of course I had, the millennial influence at school. But then I had a few really good people when I was growing up that I could go and talk to. So that was very helpful as well. But I don't feel that life is here to make it, to be unhappy. We live we're born, we live, we die. Well, there's a
Hmm.
whole lot of shit in the middle, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of it. So like that's what we need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
And I think that you brought up a great point. I think with the millennials, at least from my observation, there's a lot of fear because there's a lot of
Hmm.
fear from breaking what the norm was, which the norm, let's be honest, gave a lot of us some, really big mental issues, whether it be
Hmm.
self-esteem or anything like that. I feel like that's kind of when ADHD was sort of born as well.
Hmm.
Now it's like everyone has it because it's true because everyone's brain is differently. So yeah, maybe you might have the same tendencies. But again, it was just so vanilla back then.
Hmm.
Everything had to be a certain way. Like I had I graduated with one African American person. One.
Oh wow.
Yeah, one. And I hung out with more of the city kids, but it's just the diversity of just one that that's the problem because that's
Hmm.
how a lot of people grew up, right? They
Yeah.
grew up with not facing the diversity and the inclusion and just having that privilege and not even knowing that they had it.
Hmm.
So I think I just went off on a tangent. Sorry.
No, no, it's great.
Oh, Lord.
I'm loving it.
Hey, this is Dee Hoch, and you're listening to Career Insights 501 with Dr. Loso.
So, if you wanted to like talk more about how you made that transition from corporate America to your business,
Yeah,
and I know you said that you like there was a more of a personal story
yeah.
around that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it honestly is a personal story. I moved here to Virginia as a northerner, a New
Mm,
Yorker, so when I came here, there was already this judgment, right? We already judge people when we see them, and everybody does it. I don't care who you are, you
yeah.
judge a person. It's what you do after that judgment comes in your mind that really
Hmm.
matters. But and I just had this downward spiral of just feeling bad about myself. And I would put myself in situations where I knew I would feel worse about myself, but I still did it because I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
Hmm.
Because I moved here, I wanted to be friends with everybody. And I still do. I want of course I want people to like me. Now I don't really give a shit, but before, like I wanted people, I don't, but I
I feel
wanted
you.
people, to like me. So I kind of morphed and changed into something that I wasn't. So like this aura that wasn't me was sort of taking over my place. And then 12 years later, I didn't know who I was, where I was, or what I was doing. Um, so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely feel you on that. So for me, you have like we talked about it before we started, like a lot, like big energy. Do you think that
Yeah,
that's an issue in corporate America?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I feel like you definitely have to kind of like if you now me personally, I feel like a really chill person, unless I get around like the right people and
Yeah.
get to having a good time. But I definitely think in corporate America you have to like make yourself smaller in a sense. I don't really know,
Yeah,
like subdue
it's true.
some of that energy. So because I could definitely see why a lot of people will probably be looking at you like because you
Yeah.
just, and I love it. It just makes work fun. It makes hanging out fun when
Yeah.
somebody has all that energy like that because you're just sitting around the office and
Yeah.
people are just like a piece of office equipment or something sitting
Right.
in there. So, you want, at least I do, I want
Yeah.
somebody with that energy. So I was just curious
Uh,
as to, like to what you thought about that.
yeah, so honestly, honestly, I found that my positive, bubbly nature, because I'm also very assertive, and sometimes that can
Mm,
come across as aggressive. Um, so I think that it's welcomed in corporate America because they want it, but then when they have it, they don't know what to do with it.
mm,
And I think that, that's part of, I have a leadership program, and that's why I start with personalities, because you have to know your personality. If someone tells you, this is who I am, I'm a nice and bubbly person, you can't expect them to come at work and start being miserable. They're going to be bubbly,
yeah,
until they have a reason not to. And when your most bubbly person is no longer being bubbly, that is a
it's the
red
problem.
flag. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a red flag. But again, that was just that mindset of trying to fit in a box that you were not made for.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't made to be put in a box. I say I was made to break the box. I wasn't made to do that. That's not my personality. So that's why you have to understand personalities in order to be a leader or in order to work with people, because you have to be able to adjust yourself and really show them empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard when someone, maybe they're bubbly and they annoy the shit out of you, because they're so bubbly, like it's hard to give that person empathy. And
Yeah.
otherwise, as a bubbly person, it's hard to give someone empathy that always shows up to work miserable or what you perceive as miserable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going back to that corporate America and saying, no, we're not doing it that way anymore. We want people to be happy. We want people to
Mm-hmm.
bring their energy. And if that person is great at working and maybe just, not doesn't have maybe the personality I want, help them find where they belong. Because making yourself small, like you said, is going to lead to mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not healthy for you. Speaking from experience, not helpful at all. And that's why I really say, I want to empower people to figure out what lights their fire,
Mm-hmm.
what gets you up every morning. And it 98% of the time, it is not your job. Actually, we'll say
Mm-hmm.
95% of the time. Because I actually saw something that said 5% of people in the world, so we have over 7 billion people, only 5% actually follow their dreams.
Oh wow.
So what's the other
Wow.
95% doing? They might be
Being
happy.
miserable.
Well, I mean, and they might be happy. Like lots of
They
people
might
like
be,
that
yeah. Are
small,
happy, yeah.
it's not for me. But
Yeah.
a lot of people, they're okay with that. And that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And those are the corporate America people that you want. You want the people that are going to
Mm-hmm.
come in every day. They're going to work. They're not going to complain. But what's going on? What are they not saying? That's what I'm with. And that's why psychological safety is really, the foundation, where I need to be able to show up at work as who I am and be accepted for who I am and voice my opinion without feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in trouble now, or so and so is going to be mean to me
Right.
now,
Yeah.
or stuff like that. It takes that
Yeah.
pettiness and the politicalness and all of that just shit out of it. And
Yeah.
you're just really looking at the person for how they bring value to your team.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone could not, someone could have that, Charlie Brown, I guess, a Charlie Brown attitude. Someone can have that Charlie Brown attitude, but, really, you know, be happy, but it doesn't look like they're happy, but it is
Yeah.
happy. And how do you
Mm-hmm.
fix that? You communicate, you talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, you be that tactful, assertive communicator, because
Mm-hmm.
most communications happen because we don't say what's on our minds, because we don't know how, because you never know how the other person's going to handle it. You look at society, people that do say something, they get, just pummeled in comments and negativity and everything when they
Yeah.
try to say something to, that they're just speaking their opinion. You don't have to like it. And you also don't have to belittle them. And I would
Right.
say if you do belittle them, bullies, that's what it is bullying. If you
Mm-hmm.
do bully someone, you better look inside because it means something's broken inside
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to bully people for just being themselves.
Yeah. It's funny because like I look at the comment section. I was like, why did they even take the time to leave this comment? It didn't add
Right.
anything to the conversation. Nothing
Right.
positive, at least, you know.
But think of how many people say, well, I'm just here for the comments.
Yeah.
So, you look at people like that. People like the drama, the Kardashians. People like
Mm-hmm.
the Kardashians, right? Because they have money, they live their life the way that they want, but are they really happy? And that's,
Right.
that's where it comes down to is when you allow other people to define who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be happy. You need to find that within yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. So I do want to get into your business, the
Yeah.
fire within.
Yeah.
But no, I'm actually loving this, and I want to talk more about it. I'm have
Yeah.
to have you on again
100%.
so we could just talk about all the
I love
crazy
it.
stuff.
Well, and you can be on my podcast too.
Yeah,
So there
I'm
you
gonna
go.
let you plug your podcast and
Yeah.
and everything and talk about that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into all of it.
All right.
And I definitely want to keep you on after
Mm-hmm.
we end the show to
Of course.
talk to you about a couple of things.
Yeah. 100%.
But I wanted to ask you, what was that aha moment for you when you were going through that coaching and you saying, this is it. Like this is like my purpose. I understand what my purpose. Like, what was that moment for you?
Oh man. So I feel like there's a lot of those moments because I mean
Mm,
it was a 6-month coaching program that I got into. So, there was the beginning, there wasn't a lot of it was learning how to be a coach. And then you go internal after that. So when we got, I think it was like halfway through, and I was just like, oh my God, like this makes sense because it was two people were doing like a mock um interview, and I was listening to them, and it came to my mind. I was like, fear, that's their problem. It's fear. And it wasn't their problem, it was my problem.
mm,
And so I think that when you're asking yourself those difficult questions, that's where the aha moment happens. So for me, it wasn't just one after, it wasn't here's an aha moment. Now my life has changed. It's here's an aha moment. Yeah, aha moment. A lot of that too. But here's an aha moment. And for me, it was realizing, that maybe I'm not the person that I claim to be.
mm,
I claim to be, someone, and I'm just using this as, an example. I claim to be someone that likes football, but you know what? I really don't like football. So why do I claim that I like football? Like, I think that was my thing was
mm,
why do I say I like something when I don't? Why do I not
mm,
just say I don't like it? That's not for me. So for me, it was really, this is who I am. This is the cup of tea that I'm at, lots of caffeine. If you don't like my cup of tea, let me help you find another cup of tea, because if I'm not your
mm.
cup of tea, you're probably not mine either. And I think
Right.
that was a big aha moment because, as coaches, you want to say, I want to help everybody. Well, you know what? That's kind of setting yourself up for failure, because I know I can't help everybody because not everybody
Mm-hmm.
likes my personality. It's not for everybody. A lot of people don't like my energy. A lot of people love my energy. A lot of people get pumped up. So it's really, for me, it was finding those people that wanted to be in my presence. That was
Mm-hmm.
the hardest thing. And of course I found them within my cohort, but I realized like that's what I was missing. And then when it came to, me just leaving, that was a huge aha moment because I was sitting in a meeting and I was just like, you know what? I don't fucking care. I know that's horrible, but I just swore, sorry. But well, I've been swearing the whole time, never mind. So, I just got to the point where I was like, I don't care anymore. I don't care what I'm supposed to be. I want to be what I decide that I want to be. And, of course you have all those, when I just said that, I thought about Eminem because he says that in one of his songs, like, I'm going to be what I set out to be,
Oh, yeah.
And he's actually a great example of authenticity because some people like them, some people don't. And that's, I feel like most people are like that, right? Because we always say, we always have these things. Oh my gosh, they killed someone. I can't believe they killed someone. They're such a nice person. Do you know what goes on in their head?
Yeah.
You don't.
Exactly.
You don't.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think that's good advice what you said about the, people not, that you can't help everybody. So when I worked at the Boys and Girls Club, that's something that I came to realize is that, like as individuals who are in these type of roles in life that try to help people, that you can't help everybody, even if they're within that space of, just say, the Boys and Girls Club. We have kids at the Boys and Girls Club that need help with school or whatever. And I connected more with the little boys at the Boys and Girls Club, and the girls connected more with my assistants. And I guess it was more like a big brother, big sister. Like I was teaching middle school, so they were in that crazy age when they were leaving childhood and going into kind of like teenagers. And it was, I guess, looking more for guidance and helping them understand who they were and what they were going through as a little boy or a boy or a girl or a young man, and so and I had to come to that realization where it's like, I'm not really, I connected with my girls great, like, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't on that same level as the boys. And that's something that I had to realize, is just that you can't help everybody. And me personally, I'm very straightforward and blunt, and a lot of people don't like that, and that's just how I am. So in corporate America, I get caught up in this thing where I'm like stumbling over my words because I'm trying to make it like all soft and pretty, and it's just like, fuck, I just want to say, like, this is what it is. This is stupid. And you can't say this is stupid in corporate America. You just have to say, something around.
You have to make yourself small, and that's everywhere. So, like, with my podcast, I've been talking, just like with yours, I've been talking to people around the world, right? It's the same issues. It's not just like corporate America. It's just corporate in general. Of course, corporate America is their own thing, but there is definitely something to that, that mindset of corporate needs to be this way. Work needs to be this way. See, like, it's still that generation of, girls have to wear pantyhose and guys have to wear suits and all that. Well, you know what? I don't want to wear pantyhose. I want to wear what I want to. I want to wear a sundress and some flip flops and show up at work. And that's a part of your identity as well, like clothes. Like, I have a specific style. It's evolved through the years, but I have, a specific style, and corporate America is just not that. I'm not a suits person. I'm more of a sneakers and hoodie person, to be honest with you. I'd rather, throw on, some Nike sneakers and, my headphones and just be, but that you can't do that at work because you have to talk to people because that's why you're there, right? But not everybody has that personality either.
Yeah. So let's get into your company, the Fire Within. I don't want to run out of time.
You're fine. It's just the message that I'm happy about. It's not even of course I want people to come and have help my business thrive. But the biggest thing is just I want to spark something in someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening to this and you're unsure, I get my fulfillment by, even if I don't know that you're going to make your life better, I'm telling myself that you're going to make your life better. And it
Mm-hmm.
really is that fulfillment. But I thank you for letting me plug my business.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really want you to talk like
Mhm,
more about in detail like the services that you offer
mhm,
because kind of like I was saying in the
mhm.
beginning, like I'm grateful to have people like you on here
Right.
because
Thank you.
it helps people find their purpose. And that's a
Yeah.
big part of me starting like Official Insight because
Yeah.
I wanted people to know what this job was like instead of getting into a position and or a role and it's just like, okay, this is not what I was expecting. So I'll
Right.
use myself for an example. And I feel like my life's tragedies is part of my purpose so I can
Yeah.
understand like what I need to do. So
Hmm.
thank you, God.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. It's hard being human, it
It
is.
is.
It's very complex and hard to be human, and bringing that humanity back into the workplace, that's where I
Hmm.
thrive. that
Yeah.
that's that's what we do, and
Hmm.
part of what we do. So we help organizations really bring that humanity in by teaching them how to really know themselves. How do you know yourself? Who are you? What are you doing with your life? A
Hmm.
lot of people don't know that. So hold on, I lost. Oh, there you go. So a lot of people don't know how to, how do I fix my organization? We've been like this, for 20 years. How do we fix it? So that's what we teach people. We teach people about personalities. We teach people about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Which, are you familiar with that?
Yes. It's been
Yeah,
around for a while, but a lot of
yes.
people don't know about it.
Yeah, that's huge for me, which I have a whole lesson for that in my
Hmm.
leadership program because we are social beings, first of all. And
Yes.
we also have gotten to some twisted up version that we don't need other people. But we do.
Yeah.
We do
Like I
need other
told my
people.
friend, no man is an island. The saying, no man is an island. So,
Yep. I love
yep.
that. Yeah. And so that's what I want to do. I want to, come in there and I want to take your burned out matches and I want to relight them. I want to take your matches that have never been burnt and never been burned at all. I want to light them. And I want you as a leader to then do that for your team,
Okay.
because that's the only way that we're going to change the corporate America, is if we understand each other as humans,
Hmm.
and we understand really what need are you trying to fulfill, by your actions and your behaviors. So one activity that we do is, so you identify what your personalities are, and then you look at the personalities that you don't identify with, and then you figure out a plan how to meet in the middle. And
Mm.
I like that because it gives, in our leadership program, it gives leaders tangible things to go back to their team and reflect on the questions and then implement it.
Hmm.
Because it, like, the foundation of psychological safety, like, I cannot tell you how important this is. Because if you don't feel like you're respected or you have a voice, you're not going to speak. And then 30 years later, we're running into the same issues.
Hmm.
So trying to bring that passion and purpose into the workplace, and that understanding of each other, and really understanding how judgment works. Like, how do you judge people? If you don't like someone and you think they're annoying when they come in, what goes through your head? Are you
Hmm.
more apt to listen to the person that doesn't annoy the shit out of you, or are you more apt to listen to the person that does? So it's, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it's really looking at it from that perspective. And then I also, we do individual coaching as well, where it's really just, who do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? Who do you want to be? How do you get there? I want to help you get there, because I felt for so long that no one helped me, which was not true, because I did
Mm-hmm.
have people that helped me, but I still had that mindset because that's what I had become accustomed to. So I want to break that cycle and break that mindset. Um, so with the individual, I want to challenge you. Well, with everyone, I want to challenge you. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
do. If you say, oh, I'm stupid, really? You're stupid? Are you? Tell me, what have you accomplished in your life? Well, I have a master's degree. I came up with this. Well, man, a stupid person couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And looking at it from that challenging, which again, that comes off as aggressive for some people. But
Mm-hmm.
challenging it for me is the only way that I learned it. So I essentially set up this company to give people the services that I wish I had, and really pushing that authenticity. And then I also have my podcast. Um, so my podcast, I created it for happiness. I created it because I said, I cannot be the only person in the world that feels this way. I cannot be the only person in the world that has just dropped everything and said, this is who I want to be. And I'm not. And, through my podcast, I found other people that really inspire me, and can inspire other people as well. People that are passionate about all sorts of kind of things, from stuff to from podcasting, to I think I had a farmer. I had some other, I had someone with, no, I didn't end up interviewing that person. Never mind. But yeah, so I have a lot of different people on there, and that really speaks to the community that I
Mm-hmm.
want to build. I want to build a community where everybody has their fire lit, where everybody's trying to light other people's fires. And that's what drives me, is the fact that even if there's a little bit of change, that's more change than we had before.
Yeah.
So that's what drives me and my company. So we also do training services. So if you
Okay.
say, well, you know what, I don't want the coaching stuff, I just want you to teach me about it, I could do that as well. So I could just teach you about it if that's what you want. But if the coaching part comes up, or if it comes up that, with questions, hey, how do I deal with this situation? Well, that's a little different, because in order to deal with, these situations, you have to have those personal skills. You have to know what personality you're dealing with. You have to know where the other person is coming from and really empathize with them.
That's all great stuff.
Thank you.
That's a lot,
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, do you have like your processes or methods patent or trademark?
I don't. No, I
Okay.
don't. And that's an so when you just said that, my mind, I was like, oh, he's right. Maybe you could give me some tips. I don't even know where to start with that.
No, so the reason I was asking, because I didn't really think about that sort of thing until I worked at Deloitte, and they have this thing called business chemistry, and
Mhm.
it's, I think, very similar to what you're doing, but
Yeah.
they match people with work styles, and they put us in these different groups. Like, hey, this person has big energy, this person doesn't, this person. So you should check it out, and I'll send you a link on it. But
Yeah, please
it's
do.
patent or trademark, and they go around and they teach it to different businesses. So I was thinking, I was like, man, this sounds like maybe something that she could get patent or trademark, and it could just be
Yeah.
something that you could have set up to where it could be what's the word I'm trying to, like, residual income,
Yeah.
and you can also go out and serve it as well, but have it maybe worksheets or workbooks or
Yeah.
something. But we can talk about
Yeah,
that, you
I
know.
love it. We will talk about that because I actually do. Listen, so I have 25 ideas right here. I don't know if you can see them, but they're all right here. So they're all above my head, just kind of waiting to be picked. So
Cool. Yeah, that was that just got me to thinking.
I love
I
it.
did want to ask you, like what were some of the like trials or like things that you learned starting up your own business, like for any entrepreneurs out there listening? What are some advice that you could give them?
Give. So first, change doesn't happen overnight.
Mm,
It's change is small little habits that will eventually lead to the bigger change. So I think people get so caught up in this is what I'm going to do, and they forget about, well, you all have to do all this first before you get there. Also, don't quit your job without a backup plan.
yeah.
Have a plan. Don't it's working out for me, but other people it might not. So definitely you want to be cautious with that. Also give yourself compassion.
Mm,
So I've only been a business owner for like 6 months.
okay.
And I've made incredible strides because of who I am as a person and how driven I am. And then I get upset when things aren't moving fast enough.
Mm,
And when I'm upset, that doesn't go to other people. That goes to me. And then
mm-hmm.
I start having those negative conversations. So keep it positive and give yourself grace. Say it's okay if I fail. With my podcast, like if you go and look at the first episode, I mean, I wasn't awful, but it wasn't great either. But then I go to my last podcast, it's pretty good. It's
Mm-hmm.
because it's the habit of doing it over and over. That's how you make change.
Yeah.
Practice doesn't necessarily make perfect because there's no such thing as perfect, but practice does make you better.
Yeah. At one of my old jobs, they had the same philosophy. They said practice makes improvement.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh,
it
that
does.
makes more sense than practice makes perfect.
Well, I mean, and I feel like that's right there why we're in the predicament that we're in, right? Because
Hmm.
everything needs to be perfect. You can't, if you're on TV, you can't show that you have, wrinkles or fat or,
Yeah.
anything like that. And screw you, I'm human. If I want to take my
Exactly.
belly out and, show it to the world, I'm going to do it. So yeah, so that's sort of it's funny because I never was that way, but since I became a business owner, I just said, this is who I am. This is who I like, who I want to be. And you might not like it, and that's okay. And
Hmm.
that's okay part is the best advice because it is okay. And not everybody is going to get you. Not everybody is going to root for you.
Hmm.
The hardest part is finding the people that are going to root for you because those are the
Hmm.
people that you want to hold on to. And then you want to be honest with yourself about the other people in your life, the environments in your life, and what is going on in your life that's maybe preventing you or not
Hmm.
making you happy.
Yeah. I would say for me, just as I got noted, I've been surprised at the people who like actually support me. So
Yep.
with the things that I do, and just a simple thing of like resharing my podcast or
Yeah.
listening to the first 5 minutes, so I could get like credit on whatever
Right,
that
right, right.
a play count. And it's just amazing, like people that you don't even really
Mhm.
talk to, or like I have family members that I've never met before. We met on Facebook, and they are just like some of the biggest supporters
Mhm.
out there. And it's just like I have family members that I've known basically all my life, and they
Yeah.
don't, could
Yeah.
give two shits about what I'm doing. So it's
Well, there
like,
is a key to what you said there. So if you think about it, you said people pretty much that don't see you every day, right? People that
hmm
are actively in your life, so they're supporting you because they don't have that judgment of you failing or you saying something wrong, or you, where the people that are surrounded by, not necessarily the people that you're surrounded by, but people that we surround ourselves with, those are the people that get to see us when we're not really good, right? Those are the people that get to see us slamming the doors or pulling our hair out. So they're already having that judgment in their head. So that, and when you look at it from that perspective and the perspective of everybody just tells themselves a story, so the people that don't support you, they're telling themselves a story of why they can't support you. The people that are supporting you are telling a story. Hey, I do not need to support this person because it supports on who I want to be.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Sometimes I do. Yeah.
I would have never thought about it that way.
That's the great thing about coaching, because coaching has you think of things differently to break that mindset.
Yeah. I do have another person at 12:30, but I wanted to ask you if there's anything that you wanted to say to the audience or tell, just to give you some time to just like have open mic for you.
Really? I thought that's what I've done the whole time.
Well, I give you 2 open mics this time. You can double fist the mics.
Yes, that's going to make the mic drop so much better. Well, first let me say, this has been super enjoyable. And for your viewers, if they're at that point where they just really are lost, or they feel that coaching is good for them, come and see me. I'll give you 10% off if you mention this podcast. Second of all, I just want to say that this is what it's about. It's about human connection. It's about meeting people that bring the best out of you, and you being the person that brings the best out of you as well. And again, it's okay not to have the answers. It's okay to say I'm wrong. It's okay to fail. So if you look at all of the successful people in the world, they've all failed. They've all failed hard. And that's okay, because the failure is not what matters. What matters is how you pick yourself up and move on. Mic drop.
Boom.
Boom. 2. Boom, boom.
So we need to give a special code so we can make sure that they listen to it. Put it in the email like title. Okay. So come up with the.
That's perfect. Anytime anybody wants to move forward, I'll help them. If you're committed, I'm committed. Let's do this shit.
We're gonna say this. The code would be Fire D.
Fire D.
No,
not Fire D. I don't like that. What? I don't like that. Fire me. Jeez, I'm my own boss and I'm firing myself now. Shit. So why don't we do what lights your fire? Or no, because that's my podcast. Fire me up.
Fire me up. There it is. Fire me up. So when you contact Dee, what's the email that they can get at you?
Yeah, so it's
how do you want them to contact you?
Yeah, anyway, honestly.
Okay.
So I'm on multiple formats. So I'm on LinkedIn, and it's just Dee Hoch, which is DeeHoch. And then I'm also on Polywork. Don't ask me what that is. It's Dee Hoch. It's new. It's new. It's an amazing platform. But
it is, yeah. That's how we met. So shout out to Polywork.
Yeah, for real. It's been crazy. So if you're not on Polywork, definitely go on Polywork.
You should get I got like 40 people that's reached out to me to come on here.
Yes, me too. I was like, oh my God, I had to put a stop. I was like,
I gotta
here,
do the same.
I had to make a separate form. I'm like, okay, let's do a new process. But it's failing and it's okay. Because that's how you learn, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, when you reach out to D, just mention that phrase "fire me up"
Yeah.
and get that 10% discount. So D, before I let you get out of here, I do like to have a little fun, and so first, while I get my little game app up, I want to ask you,
Mhm.
what do you listen to? So in those dope white headphones that you have on, what music are you listening to?
Um, thank you. So I actually listen to a lot. I love the 90s, because that's,
Mm,
when I grew up. So I listen to a lot of 90s hip hop. I listen to, I also like
you are
pop.
from New York, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, Jay-Z, like all of it. So I love hip hop. I love the, just R&B, uh, with just R&B, and then I also like pop. So really anything that I can shake to, anything that I can dance to, I like it. Yeah.
Something with some like
Rhythm.
150 what beats per minute BPM.
Yeah, yes, I want something that's gonna fire me up.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna ask you five of these would you rather questions and get your answer.
My 12-year-old
So,
does this to me, just to let you
all
know.
right.
He does. Go for it. Let's see what I've heard.
Okay, so this one I asked the last person. Let me see. Okay, would you rather have everything you've ever wanted but die in 1 year, or live your life as it is now?
Like as my life is right now. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Would you rather be the first person to walk on Mars via a one-way trip, or never travel to space?
Yeah, I don't have to travel to space. That's okay with me. I'm good. My feet are good on the ground. Thank you.
It's like stuck on Mars. I don't know about that. Like, who else is up there?
Yeah, I don't want to be there alone. They made that. Didn't they make a movie like that? And the kid was just like alone. Yeah, no, nobody wants to be
Yeah.
isolated on a whole other planet.
Would you rather have? Would you rather never have another embarrassing fall in public, or never feel the need to pass gas in public again?
So I've done both in public. I mean, like we all have, right? So would I rather do one or the other? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So, would
Okay.
you rather never have an embarrassing fall in public, or would you never feel the need to pass gas in public again?
Probably that one. I wouldn't want to. I fall in public a lot. Like it's okay. It's cool.
Okay, two more.
Mhm.
Would you rather be stuck on an island with a killer, or stuck in the ocean with hungry sharks?
Killer, because I could totally. Yeah, killer. Give me that killer. Give me a machete and a killer. I'm good.
Yeah, I was thinking about the movie with the sharks, with the people that went out on the boat and the shark. They stayed out there in the sharks. I can't remember the name of that.
Is it
I
48
was
meters down? Is that the one?
something like
Yeah, that
that.
was.
It's been
Yeah.
a while.
No, I see. I don't do animals that could eat me. I don't do it.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, I probably could take the killer out, plan, set some traps or
Right.
something. Like my
Yeah.
odds are much better than like a
Right.
sea full of sharks.
Right. There's no coming out of that. At least that you could come out of it.
The whole swimming thing to ocean, like you can only hold your breath. It's like a lot of
Right.
different variables in that.
Well, and sharks
Um,
aren't the only thing that can kill you in the ocean.
True. This is true.
Hmm.
Would you rather find true love or cure cancer?
Well, I already have true love, so I will
Uh,
say, well, that's cured
cure
cancer.
cancer.
Hmm.
There you go. That's what's up.
Love it.
Well, alrighty. So do you have anything coming up that you want everybody to know about, or
Just my leadership program. If you're a leader and you think that you could do better, because we all could do better, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you think you can do better and this is something that's interested in you, give me a call. We'll check it out, you know?
Gotcha. And you already dropped all your contact information, right? You told that already?
Uh, in the comments.
No, like just when we were talking about the hit you up with the
Oh,
fight.
did I say it?
Your
Yeah, no, I think I just said I'm on LinkedIn and everywhere else. Do you want me to say my email address so you can put it in there?
you can I have it in the
Oh, okay.
Calendly, so yeah, you don't have to
Okay.
do that, but I can put it all in the comment section and everything. So
Perfect. Well, I know that you have to go, but let me just say that this has been amazing. I'm so glad that I did this.
thank you.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And I would absolutely love to work with you on other projects if you're interested. So,
Yeah, we definitely have to stay in contact.
yep.
And just to let everybody know, I guess to give Polywork a plug here. So Polywork is kind of like LinkedIn, but it's built around collaboration. So
Right.
the entire app is like if somebody has a app that they're building and they need beta testers, or
Mhm.
if somebody has a research project and they need people to collaborate and be a part of that research, or if you just want to be a part. So it's kind of like if you have something or if somebody else has something, so
Right.
you can either like host it or be a part of it. So that's the
Right.
whole premises around Polywork, which I think is kind of ingenious given that social media is all about collaboration now. And that's, a lot of people have been using things like Instagram to collaborate, but Polywork makes it so much
Yeah.
more easier because it's specifically for collaborating and not necessarily building your brand. I
Right.
think something I just use Instagram for an example. I think Instagram is focused primary is building your brand with a secondary or like a side effect of that is you get these opportunities to collaborate. Where Polywork is collaborating, but as a part of that, a byproduct of that is that you get to build your brand as well.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Exactly. And, we both put our podcast stuff out there and just got bombarded with requests. Like I've been trying for 6 months to get people, from LinkedIn, and I've gotten good, with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn's great, but Poly, I've definitely been more successful. I've had
Yeah.
more movement, we'll say, in Poly.
Yeah. I think outside of Polywork, because I have the same thing, I had to do more, I guess, cold calling, but actively going out there, and you had to put in more work. Where Polywork,
Yeah.
you just post it,
Yep.
and it's like, God damn! Like I
Yep.
was like, I'm like you. I was like, I gotta cut this thing off because
Yeah.
it's a lot. You're trying to run a business and then do the
Yep.
podcast and like set up all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it was a new process for me
Yeah.
at least, because I was doing it through somewhere where I had to email the person, and I was having people come and spend 15 minutes with me beforehand. And, I
Mm.
value people's time. I value my time. So I was like, let's just do a link, and, well, I'll just get to you when I can. I want to hear your story, but, can't do it
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. Like you said, I really
Great.
enjoyed this. I love your energy. I
Thank you.
think that I will say this. I think that you're like really authentic, like with like your big energy. I
Yeah.
meet some people and you can kind of just tell like it's a put on because
Right.
there is this personality or persona that they're trying to perceive, and then they get off camera and they go right back to being a
Yeah.
Grinch. But I really think that your
Yeah.
energy is authentic. So
Yeah, like I can't do that stuff. Like and again with like, that's why authenticity is so important, because you don't have to turn it off when you're at work and turn it on when you're at home, or vice versa. You're just authentic. This is just who you are all the time. Less internal struggles.
yeah. Well, that's great, and we'll definitely have to keep in touch. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All righty.